All right, guys, it says we're live, so I'm going to take it for granted that we are live. I didn't get to do a podcast last night. The internet was down. They finally got it going sometime this afternoon. So it's working pretty good. We're loading it like 117 of whatever those things are, megabytes or something. I forget what they all are. Definitely didn't come from the computer age. I just walked in. I don't know if you can see everything on my arm. My hands are tinted this color. It'll start coming off about April. We call it coffee blood. We've been, my day is basically I get up as early as I can. I head to a little place called Florida, pick up workers there. I try to drink coffee first. But after I leave Florida, I head back to the farm. Florida's a pain in the butt because they like to stay up late. They're drinkers and smokers, and it's hard to get them out of bed in the morning. So they wake up a lot later than the other guys. So I get them here, and they come in an hour late, but they want to quit at the same time, which they're working by the pound, so it's fine. But on our side, we're wanting to get this stuff done. We're wanting to go ahead and get the coffee out of the field and start processing it. So we sort of make them work to about 2:45. From that point on, it's a race. I go down at 2:45. I go in as far as I can and get the furthest loads of coffee. Today it was, I did it in 3 loads today because we forgot somebody and had to go back and get them. But I carried basically 4,100 pounds a trip. Is what we did today. I had to run back in for 3 bags for some lady, but a day or two ago, I had 5,900 pounds in the back of the truck. Sometimes it's hard to gauge exactly how much it is. Oh, you got Richard at work? That's good. You can make some money, buy some coffee. But once I get the guys, once I get the coffee up, Anna, and she usually recruits 1 or 2 people, they start hanging the bags, weighing the bags, writing everybody's weight down. A couple other guys will start transferring it from their bags to our bags, or if we're going to put it straight in the tank, then they'll just put it straight in the tank. So from that point, as soon as my group gets weighed in, they start loading up in the truck, and I take them home. As soon as I get back to the farm, which is what I did today, I left here at 4, got back to the farm at 4:45. The guys were raking up the patio, the coffee that's already on the patio. They were getting it raked up so that we could cover it for the night. We did a little bit early because we needed to get started pulping. So we started pulping a little bit after 5, and I just got done a minute ago. So I think we pulped about 6,000 pounds. Plus we had a lot that I hard fermented that was picked 2 days ago. And there's a lot of geisha that was like 70 pounds, I think he said. So that 70 pounds, I went ahead and pulped it tonight. I don't want to hard ferment it, so we're going to ferment it for 2 days. So Saturday morning early, Anna will wash it. So what we did was we took the cherry off of it, and I just heard him shut the machine down. So I run the big machine up on the hill when Jonathan isn't here. There's 2 smaller machines. One of them does honey, and the other one does washed. So Pedro and Bahidio just fired that machine up, and it took them like 7 or 8 minutes to run 70 pounds through it. Basically, that's 3 5-gallon buckets full of coffee. So they pulped it. They'll put it into a bag, and we'll lay it out on the patio and let it get nice and warm. And so tomorrow's Friday. It'll ferment out in the sun, not directly in the sun. But it'll ferment until Saturday morning, and then Anna will put it into a canal, one of the ceramic canals we've got, and then she'll wash it. So, Miss Henderson, are you watching on video? We had trouble with the internet. Last week, I didn't get video, I just got audio. Can you see us on video? But we had, it's crazy how much I put on there today that it was like a daytime drama, because that sort of seems like what it is sometimes. And I've had more people asking about what's going on with Bahidio, because he got his feelings hurt yesterday. And I think he got overwhelmed with what all was going on. And he let the worker, he just got everything off track. He was supposed to just be picking Lempira, and he let some people go into another field, and then everything sort of got chaos. Took a while for us to figure out which lot was what, but we finally did, but not before I lost my temper and before he got his feelings hurt. And so then last night he went home without saying anything, which is in the video I posted earlier, which is traditionally what he does. And this morning, instead of coming in and we put our heads together, if we don't get to meet the night before, we meet that morning, put our heads together, make a plan for the day. When he gets his feelings hurt, and he's a grown man, got 4 kids, gets his feelings hurt, he just went straight in the farm. So which meant I've got 40 people in my truck and nobody to take them into the farm. So he just sort of pitched a little temper tantrum today. He let the workers, I was going to the high side of the farm, and so there's only one turnaround spot. And so he let the workers just put coffee everywhere. So once I got there was nowhere for me to turn the truck around. And so, and he knows that's a pet peeve of mine. So when I came up, and he's worked for me for 3 years, so he was pitching a little 5-year-old temper tantrums, what he was doing. So when I came up, he went ahead and left. But he knew he was hoping I would come unglued, I think. But I just sit there till the work, got some people to move so I could pull my truck. The roads aren't super big. And so, hey, Bill, so there's nowhere to really turn around except for the few spots we've built to turn around. And so it just happens that one's under a shade tree. So everybody had their coffee laid out. So there was 70 bags of coffee, nowhere for me to go. Hey, Bill, if you want to come online, I was planning on talking about your new roaster. But if you're shy and your hair's not done up just right, let me find my phone and I'll shoot it to you, brother. See if that'll do it, Bill. Anyway, unless United lets me down again like they did Tuesday, Houston was snowed out. And so they were, hey, Miguel, how are you doing? I went by your mom's store the other day and bought a bunch of stuff. Oh, I bought this from your mom, Miguel. I don't know if you can see it. It's a super cool coffee cup. I bought that from your mom's store. I think Saturday or Sunday, something like that. Saturday, I think. I love coffee cup shopping. The smaller, the better. These are some of my favorite ones. Just these little guys. I feel fancy. There's a different Father's Day in Honduras, so Eli bought me a matching set of these clear cups. I've enjoyed those, but he bought me those for Father's Day a year or two ago. And I need to come by your place, Miguel. I want to look at I've rented a farm out in Llano, which is on the other side of San Jose. There's no electricity, so I need to come and look at a light and see if there's just some kind of small solar light that you can hook me up with, so that we can put up my tree and sort of light the place up just a little bit. But I'll give you a holler. I've got to go to Comayagua to the airport tomorrow, pick up my wife, and I'll come by maybe Monday or Tuesday. We'll see what we can figure out. I think I know where your new store is, but if not, I'll give you a call. But anyway, Builder, getting an error message. It's not letting me come in. Oh, man. So how did you get here, Bill? Maybe I'm confused. The link doesn't let you come here? Is there some way it says show Bill? Oh, no, that's showing your messages to me. Can I? No, I can block you or I can delete you. Let me look here. Oh, that's going back. This says it's the link to says that's what you need to get on. Well, I don't know. Bill just got correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, a 5-pounder, and it roasts with gas, but it didn't come with the heating unit. So Bill's trying to buy and figure out exactly what heating unit he needs and what he's exactly going to do with it. But anyway, I'll finish up the story real quick. The guys are still on the patio. So I told them I had to do the show tonight. So I don't know if they'll come to the door and say bye. Some of them are social, some of them aren't. If Pedro comes in, I'll put his butt on screen with me. He's a cool guy. Anyway, but Hideo gave me my keys back today. It's a big deal to get keys, but he gets stressed out and he pitches his little fits. And so we'll wait until like Monday. When I was here in November, somebody said something that I said and just a whole bunch of stuff. And so he was ready to quit back in November. And so that time I just ignored. He sent me a text. I just ignored it. And so we talked about it the other day and he said he didn't send the text, but it's a different mindset here. And we sort of go through this once or twice a year and it seems to work out. I love the guy to death. He is definitely one of my favorite people in Honduras. And if you order a roasted coffee, that's Osman's pride. But he gets his feelings hurt. And he is a perfect example. And I'm not picking on the guy. I love him to death. But he can't see the forest for the trees. To have a permanent job in Honduras means that I'm putting back something for your retirement, or I pay you your retirement at the end of every year. And he gets 2 weeks paid vacation a year. He gets, interest-free loans, but he makes quite a bit higher salary than a normal worker would. And he's guaranteed 54 paychecks a year. And so that's a big deal. But of course, there's certain times of the year when we're like cutting grass. We do that on contracts. So these guys will get out there and hustle. And I think they make 100. I forget what the size is, but we break them into small squares. And you do 1 square, you get 150 lempiras, say. I should know, but I don't exactly know. But let's use that as an example. Well, a guy can go out there and cut 3 of those, and sometimes it's by himself. Some guys just hustle more than others. Well, those guys end up making more per day than he is. But that's something that we do twice a year for 2 weeks. And then the picking the coffee, we do 10 days and then skip 15 days. We do that for a period of 2 months. So those days, if he were out there picking, he could make triple. He could easily make triple what his day's pay is, but only for that short period of the time. And so he just in that time of year, he's all upset because he's not making the same amount of money. He could be making more money picking. Well, if he were making more money picking, then he wouldn't be helping me do all he's doing right now. And so he just can't see that. He can't see how us as a farm, we went in and wired his house for electricity for free. We built him a barber shop. We built him a bathroom, a shower, a little tiny bodega, put a corn grinding. So he's got a corn grinding business there. All these little things we've done for him over the last 3 years helped him triple his income, not to mention shipping his coffee to the United States for him for free and selling it for him down there. He doesn't count any of that. All he counts is all he focuses on is that one thing. So it drives him crazy. And so I don't know how to solve that problem. If I've got a bilingual psychologist that wants to make a mission trip and come out and sit down, and I've got 2 couches, you can put me on one and Bahidi on the other, and see if you can't solve all our problems. But that's the end of that. The bad news is I have 4 Stroop waffles. They are God's own little waffle. That's what God puts over his coffee cups when God drinks coffee in the morning. Pretty sure of that. It's not in the Bible, but I make stuff up sometimes. So anywho, I'm down to 5 and I ration them because I don't want to get fat when I get old. And so my wife has got another fresh box bringing me tomorrow. So unless United drops the ball again and lets it snow, which I blame them for letting it snow, my wife and both sons are coming in tomorrow afternoon on United on the one flight a day. So I'm going to pick up workers in the morning, drop them off here. Santos was in a bad wreck, so I'm going to drive him into the farm and throw a chair out. And so he's going to sit in the farm and oversee stuff. And then I'm going to jump in the little 4Runner we've got and go do my grocery shopping, hit the construction store, do all that fun stuff, and then go wait at the airport at Espresso Americano, which is like the Honduran version of the devil himself, Starbucks. I'm going to go sit there and wait on my family to get in. So, and hopefully be back here by 3. And then at 3 o'clock, I will jump in the truck and start taking workers home. That is the goal. And I've clicked every button I can, Bill. I'm not sure. I don't see anything else that would say, let somebody come in. Can you type comments? You would think that there would be some way, if anybody knows more about podcasts than I do, you would think there'd be some way I could just click on somebody and let them come in. There's a star. I'm not sure what the star does. Oh, you're watching me on Facebook? So it won't even let you onto this. Well, no, you're on you're on. So that link is not any good, maybe? It says having issues, but I don't think that's going to help me today. Well, I'm sorry about that. No, I don't want to open up a live chat right this second. But Bill, if you don't mind typing a little bit, we can talk that way. You said you just roasted 1 pound of coffee? Or am I making that up? Whoop. Brian just popped on. Oh, I think Brian's got his mic muted.
Yeah, I was on Facebook as well and thought I'd try the link, and it's working for me.
Well, it probably just doesn't like Bill. So Bill just said he's about ready to drop in 2 pounds. I wish you lived closer, Bill. I've got a 2-year-old bag of coffee that's probably got at least 80 or 90 pounds in it that I'd let you have. You just have to go pick it up. Or we could ship it to you. It's a honey process that was hard fermented that it somehow slipped in the cracks. So it's been sitting there for 2 years. It was a coffee that only cupped to 78. Samantha's Sweetness. Okay, I forgot that's the name of the coffee. All right, can you still hear me, Brian?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Now, what's your last name?
Chapron.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple Brians on my list. One of them's actually been out to the farm at least once. He and his brother came for a while, and they cupped coffee and beer, and so I think they had a pretty good time. I think they're taking a break from coffee. I don't know that he sold all his equipment, but they used to own a company called Saturday Morning Coffee, and they just sort of I don't know what's going on in their life or whatever. They're not doing coffee this year. Now, what do you do in coffee, Brian?
I'm a home roaster right now. I've bought some beans from you in the past, and currently roasting on a hot top.
On a hot top, okay. And is Is that a electric heat or what is that?
Yeah, it's electric heat.
Okay. Well, Bill just got Brian, did you see the message Bill just sent you? Is there any way you can send him a link?
I didn't, but I'm new to this platform, so let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, normally you just click on the StreamYard thing I put on and it brings you on, and it's worked for Bill a bunch of times. We've had him on here quite a few times. So how long have you been roasting, Brian?
Been about 10 years now, I guess.
Okay, well, you pretty much got it now then, don't you?
I'm still learning.
I just had my first real crop of geisha. And last year's crop was 4 pounds, and I gave it to a customer in Iowa. I never even tried it. And because it was so little, we didn't send it to have it cupped or anything. So they just turned the machine off a few minutes ago, and they picked 70 pounds of cherry, which should end up being about 9 pounds of roasted coffee. I don't know if you measure your loss and stuff, moisture loss and stuff like that. But I usually just guess between light roast, dark roast, and medium, about 16.5% overall. That's probably a little bit on the high side. I think Bill, I'm not sure what Bill shoots for, but Bill's been roasting on B-Moores and on the Fresh Roast 800. And last week or 10 days, he just got a little 5 pound roaster. And so he's bought some kind of a heating element to go in it. And he's starting to roast a little bit bigger because he bought like a bag or two of coffee from me this year. He bought a lot of different things. Like wasn't just one full bag. I think he bought a little bit of everything we had. Okay, he's saying he did about 15% moisture loss. When I'm doing quick math in my head, I just say 20%. But roughly 6 pounds of green will get you 5 pounds of roasted coffee. It's just a general thing that I can do math quickly in my head with. If I have to, if I have to do fast math, then that's what I'll do with it. But no, I enjoyed learning how to roast on the smaller roasters. I actually went to cupping school here in Honduras, and they wouldn't let us use the roasters because they were they had 2 sets of the 4 drum Probat roasters. So nobody got to touch those because they were $30-something thousand a piece. So they had cuppers in there that were doing all that. Wow, that's quite a link. But I went to cupping school, but I did all that after I'd bought like a pretty good size roaster. And then after I did that, I started out with a popcorn popper just to shoot. It's actually up in the very far corner back there, just a standard popcorn popper that like blows it out the top. And then from there, we actually tried doing them in the oven one time. We tried a couple different things. And then I moved to the Fresh Roast 700, learned all about how to burn coffee. And then from there, I got the Hucky 500. And I got like number 784, which is probably, he was 2 or 3 or 4 years into making them at that point. And then I've got one now that's 1,092, and then I've got one that's 1,292. So I've got 3 of them now. One of them I've never used. I got it on a trade. But I've enjoyed the Huckies. They were really hard to learn how to use because my big roaster is an artisan roaster. It came with one temperature probe that broke the first month I had the machine. And so that's been my experience with that. And then I went in and welded some receivers, little threaded bolts or threaded nuts. And then I installed fidget probes. I won't let you copy it. Sorry, having so much trouble, Bill. but I just sort of learned a little at a time. And then finally I got it hooked up on the Artisan. And I've enjoyed the Artisan. I don't save all my roasts and stuff like that. I mainly use it for that, for the timer and to watch, sort of what my curve and stuff is. Look who is on. Wild Bill Bean Barn. Wild Bill's Bean Barn.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Yeah, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. That helped a lot.
No problem.
So there she is, working its magic.
Is it running?
Yeah, yeah, it's a quiet. It doesn't have any beans in it yet. I'm trying to preheat it so I can get it. Mind you, it's like 20 degrees outside right now where I'm sitting currently. So, but it is now up to.
I just came in from working and I've got my T-shirt on, so.
It's up to 337 degrees. I'm trying to get it to 400 before I drop the beans in. So, do you think that's a little obsessive?
No, well, I'd want to make sure it would get hot enough first. Yeah.
Well, it did last night. It got over 400 last night with that 1 pound in it.
Okay. Because 2 will make a big difference, but it should. How long did it take you to go through with the 1 pound?
Well, that's the problem because I couldn't figure out how to work the regulator properly. I wasn't giving it enough heat when I started it, so it took me about 16 minutes for first crack on it. But honestly, about halfway through that is when I actually figured out how to run the heat properly. So I'm going to say it was about right. So,
well, when the guy brought my roaster, I mainly bought the roaster so that I could roast here in Honduras. So I bought it here in Honduras, and he told me it was a 75-pound roaster. And we roast what's called huacuco, and it's the defects, insect damage, it's the stuff that gets selected out. And so, we weren't looking for quality; we were looking for something that would bulk roast. And so he threw in 75 pounds in that thing. It took like an hour and 10 minutes to get it all to somewhere around third crack. But we got it up to 500 degrees. It was blowing white smoke out the building like crazy. But it roasted it, but it took about an hour and 5 minutes, hour and 10 or 15 minutes. Now my sweet spot is between 22 and 25 pounds doing specialty grade. And it'll crank that out about every 12 minutes. I do 15-minute turnarounds. I let my drum cool down just a little bit for different roasts, according to if it's blueberry, honey, full natural, or it's a washed. I drop in at different temperatures. But you'll find the sweet spot on yours. And advertising is deceptive, whether it's the United States or Honduras or wherever you got your roaster from.
that would be China.
I was sort of wanted to, but yeah, it's crazy, but you'll get the hang of it, and it won't take long, but might have to sacrifice a few good beans, but luckily you've got flavoring and stuff now, so.
Right. I just dumped the 2 pounds in, and I had to stop it to do it, which I wasn't too happy about, but I got it going.
You'll get it. It'll start working out.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to feed it in from the side. I don't know if I can flip my camera around or not, but we got this hole right here that's in the side that's open, and that's where I need to try to figure out how to feed them through, but it's not like a perfect circle, so it's kind of hard for me to kind of figure that out. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Do you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I got to start my clock.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send you my roasting chart. Sort of how I do things. After 1 minute, I soak it for 1 minute, which you'll have that option now. And then after that, I start at the turning point. I'll start sending it up. Are you going to be able to put Artisan on it?
Eventually, I hope. We'll see. I think I should be able to work it out. I just got to figure out how to get the probe to stay in that hole, without it coming, because it rotates on that hole. So I got to figure out how to mount it to where that probe will come in. It came with this thermometer, and I'm sorry that I'm talking and not showing you, but I'm walking around here. It came with this thermometer that you can stick in the side, but it won't mount in the side. You just got to kind of hold it there to get the temperature on it.
But you can do that while it's rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll be able to figure that out.
Yeah, so I figured I got some people who said that they stuck steel wool on the side of it and then just stuck it through the steel wool, and that held it in place.
Huh.
So
You'll be able to get a machine shop or somebody to fab you something that can fit in that hole.
yeah,
What is that scraping noise?
that's the beans rolling around. It's not squeaking; it just sounds like a squeak.
Oh, okay.
Is that too loud? I can mute it so I'm not interrupting you guys.
They're just like riding up the drum and then they fall.
Yeah, it's got fins on the inside to help baffle it around. So, and I don't know if you'll catch it, but it's got this door that just went by, and that's where I ended up having to put it in this time and last night because I can't figure out how to feed it in. I just tried PVC pipe, and it's not round. The hole is not round while it's sitting on the rollers, so I can't get the PVC pipe in without moving it off the roller, and then it kind of defeats the purpose. So. Anyway, hey Brian, nice to meet you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Brian does hot
Learning
dog.
about your roaster.
I'll have to step away from my roaster. I'm afraid I'm getting too loud for you guys.
I think Brian asked you a question. I didn't
Oh,
hear.
what did you say?
Oh, sorry. No, I said I was enjoying hearing about your new. Is that a new roaster?
It is a new roaster. It's something I saw. Somebody on the Home Roasters site on Facebook had it, so I kind of messaged him about it and kind of asked him a couple questions. He bought his off eBay, and it looks almost identical to this, but it's a little different than it. And so I started looking around and found one on Amazon. It cost me $289 shipped, so the price will be more pretty much. And now Ashley will call me his friend because I'm no longer using that nasty hot air anymore. So,
Like the other night when I sent you that text, I couldn't remember how to turn the stupid thing on, and I hadn't used it for years. And then, sure enough, I burnt some beans, and and the lady that's there. They own a multi-million-dollar mill where they buy truckload after truckload, 18-wheeler load after 18-wheeler load of coffee. And so I'm sitting there, and they came to me to learn how to hook up the Artisan and their two North roasters that they have. And so I'm trying to roast coffee on that little fresh roast, and I'm burning. And so now we're going to get back on the Huckies where I know what I'm doing a little bit better. So the coffee that I screwed up in the fresh roast, we pulled the light roast and the dark roast out of it, and I put a little caramel rum crunch in there. And
okay.
So, there you go.
That'll make it better.
So Saturday, I've got to drop by there. I'm trying to buy a truck from them. Somebody traded in a truck on a fertilizer deal. It is a 1988 Mitsubishi Mighty Max with a diesel. But when I look it up, it didn't come out with a diesel that year. But it's beat to death. It's it's got oil in it because it's still leaking, and the gas is just non-existent. But I'm trying. But even that, they're wanting $3,000 for it.
Wow.
And I'm my dad, so I'm hoping to get it for $2,000. I'll put another $2,000 in it, getting everything done on it, But if it'll crank and run and doesn't smoke, I'll buy it. And then we're gonna start driving it inside the farm until I get all the kinks worked out of it. It's got good paperwork on it. We're going to put license plates on it, and man, I might drive it to Missouri and come see you.
I want to see the big honking Dodge. That's what I'm waiting to see. So
I had so many comments when I like right at 5,900 pounds of coffee in the back of the truck day before.
Wow.
It came up a hill like you wouldn't believe, man. I got into when I first started hauling coffee up the hill back years ago. I had about 12 guys in the back of the truck, and I had about 5,000 pounds, and they were all with the tailgate, sitting on the tailgate. So I was off balance real bad. And so I just started hammering it and letting off. And we got to where we were bringing the front tires off the ground coming up that hill. And that's why I had good sense to realize that if you break a shock, it's going to take a month to find one. But it's one heck of a steep incline. But, I was in a hurry yesterday, and I didn't want to split it into 2 loads. And it's hard to judge exactly how much is in a bag. I'm done. Anna came to me, and it was 5,900 pounds of coffee. I was like, man, I did not realize I had. And I had somebody ask me, what suspension did you put under it? And I'm like, whatever Dodge stuck in it's what's in it. But the motor's been modified.
Yeah.
It's got a 200 horse boost on it, but they reprogrammed it or whatever. But
Now, Ashley, this isn't too loud, right, on your stream?
no, that's the least of my worries today, man.
That's fine. I just want to make sure it's just making a lot of racket. And it's kind of wobbling a little bit because of the weight in it, but it's making it. I did notice, too, something I got to get used to, and I don't know about the hot top on there. I've looked at the hot top many times, but I never asked about the chaff version of it. But the chaff can't escape this little doohickey like it does the Be More and the Fresh Roast. So I don't, so I have to kind of watch it, make sure nothing catches on fire, inside of it. But I get a spark every so often, like a piece of chaff catches in, like on a campfire.
Yeah.
But
oh, how does the hot top? Is there a chaff collector on that, or how does that work, Brian?
It's got a chaff collector right underneath the drum. Let me see if I can figure out how to turn this camera on and flip it around. I don't know if I can.
hey, my bold brother, how you doing?
Yeah, I hate to say too much online about my roaster because I've dodged a lot of. I mean, I've had the best luck in the world with the health department and those guys. But a lot of the guys were saying that you had to get a fire department come out and give you a certificate or whatever. And nobody ever came out. But mine just basically blows everything out the side of the building. There's not a chaff collector. At the end of the day, there's a pile of chaff thrown out over about a square foot area. One day it was raining and I forgot I had my car parked out there. And I came out and it looked like it had a coat of chaff fur on it. But I've been lucky on that as far as I don't have any kind of a chaff collector because it blows out a lot of chaff.
I'm online.
The hot top's pretty small.
Neither the man
It's got a little
busy.
chaff collector there underneath it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I do about 270 grams or so typical roast, and it's not for large quantities.
Ryan, is that about 8 or 9 ounces?
Yeah, it typically ends up being about a half a pound, basically, with the weight loss.
And what's the turnaround on that?
As far as how long it takes to roast it, or
Yeah.
usually about 12 to 15 minutes. Closer to 15 when you add the cooling into it. But I'll hit first crack, just under 10 minutes typically.
Okay. Well, I've modified mine quite a bit. I changed it over from PSI to inches of water column, which I can't really explain what that is. But I do a lot of trading. There was one year that I had my biggest production was 160 bags of coffee, 150-pound bags. And the year after that, and that was just starting, my third year in exporting. And the year after that, I had like 210 bags. I didn't have anywhere near the customer base to sell that many bags. So good deal or bad deal, I went to trading coffee. And Bill can attest, I've got more coffee grinders than anybody you know. And if somebody had something, I traded for two of my Steelers. I traded for all the current 7 coffee grinders I have. Just anybody that would trade for something. I traded for that Hucky 500. Actually, I traded for 2 of the Hucky 500s. I've got a giant Bunn, brand new in the box Bunn coffee brewer that does a half-gallon vacuum pot every 4.5 minutes. I just traded for anything I could get my hands on because I didn't know who to sell the coffee to. And so I traded to a guy who had a Probat roaster who had an extra set of burners for it. But Probat uses inches of water column, and my roaster was on PSI. So mine didn't even have a real regulator on it. Where the water column one has 2 regulators put together to bring it down that low. So when I put those in there and cranked it up, man, it blew the door open, fire shot out for about 2 feet. So I didn't know what was going on, but I knew something was wrong. And since then, I've gone back in. Everything is hard pipe where it used to be flexible hosing, running the gas lines, which I'm certain it's not the code. But now it is. Now I used all gas pipe. It was over $200 for just the pipe, with the black gas pipe, and actually used the yellow Teflon tape, that's supposed to be for gas. Both the valves that control my gas flow had blue handles, signifying that they were water valves. So there is zero OSHA, zero regulations here in Honduras. So the only thing I took off the machine was they had a lot of, for the electronics, they had a low voltage sensors on them that would shut it off before it let it get too low, because we lose electricity here a lot. And one thing my roaster has that probably you'll never see again on another roaster is I have a set of double reduction gears in the back of it that turn the drum. So there's actually a keyhole in the back of my main drive pulley that hooks to the 2 horsepower motor that turns the drum. So if the electricity goes out, I take my big giant key and I run back in the back and shove it in, and I start turning the drum by hand. Because the electricity goes out all the time. And so when my family would be in the house, and they would know I'm roasting because I'm right out the cupping lab is right beside the house, 50 feet. So if the electricity went out, they all came running because they knew I was over there turning the drum to keep the coffee going. And so Jonathan would run out, grab the key, and he would start turning it. And that way we would go ahead and finish my roast out because I've got propane gas. So if we don't get that drum going, it's just going to burn all the coffee that's sitting in the bottom of the drum. So with that giant key, I can keep the drum going at the right speed, and the gas is still running. And then I jump up there in front because the Artisan is run by my laptop, which still has battery on it. And so I can go ahead and finish my roast out and not lose the coffee. So I don't think you'll see another roaster built like that. I think Bill is closing up.
No, I'm not. I'm still here.
I thought you were in amazement there for a second.
No, I'm trying to get a temperature read because I just put a spoon in to grab a couple of beans out of it, and they were still green, so I'm getting smoke out of the inside of it. Yeah. So, oh, say hi to Ashley. So I was just trying to figure out what was going on. So I've taken a little sample, and this is what I've got at 14 minutes. Still green as a, do I? I'm sorry.
I didn't see it very well. It looked like there was a lot of peaberries in there.
It's still as green almost as the time I put it in. So I don't know what's going on with it. So
Well, what's it smelling like?
hey, come here, Snooper Sniffer. Can you smell over here and see if it? Do you smoke coffee at all?
Are you getting grass or hay? Or
I smell not fully roasted coffee.
She said she smells not fully roasted. That's my Super Sniffer, Melody. So
Dad, I have a question.
yes, Melody.
Did you already write on the 4 different numbers?
No,
Okay.
sorry, Ashley. I'm fathering while I'm doing it.
Oh,
So I turned the heat up. This is the fire I've got going right now. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't. Is there a lot of white flame?
I just turned it up to where there's a lot of yellow flame on it. Is that what I wanted, or is the blue is hotter, isn't it?
Blue.
Do what? I'm sorry.
You want blue, as much blue. The yellow is yellow and white will make a lot of carbon and soot on the drum. But yeah, blue would be ideal. So I don't know if that's a regulator adjustment or exactly.
So I just got that turned right there. Did you see her?
Yeah. Is there any kind of a pressure gauge on it?
No, not at all.
There's probably a way, and you have to be careful, and I'm not advising you to do this, but I took my regulator apart, and there was a screw inside of it, and I ran that screw down as tight as it would go
Okay.
to get me where I could go up to 15 inches of water column. I think probably your next step is you're going to have to get a needle valve, and a good one's probably about $30. And then a gauge that'll read up to 15 inches of water column, and so that you can judge. You can start doing your roast according to, like I'll send you a roasting chart, and my roasting chart will have minutes on it, and it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5, 6, 7, and 9. We're going to make adjustments, and then as your a note for what the temperature is on all of those. And it's got a note of where your air control is on all of those. There's a note for what your number is of inches of water column. So my first thing, I start out with the first minute, I'm soaking it, so it's 0. I turn the gas all the way off. And then the next thing I'm going to do is at 1 minute, when my Artisan program is dipping and it's just getting ready to start making that turning point, then I'm going to hit the gas and push it through that turning point to start my curve back up. So at that point, I'm going to jump up to 6 inches of water column. And then at 3 minutes, I'm going to go to 9 inches. 5 minutes, I go to 11. 7 minutes, I go to 13. And those adjustments are different according to whether it's washed honey or whatever the other I do is.
Yeah. Well, this is enough to frustrate the crap out of me. I'm telling you. I didn't have this much bad luck last night.
Well, it may be overloaded. With that white flame, you might not be able to produce enough heat. Is there any way?
I mean, again, it is 20 degrees outside. It was actually about 30-some last night, so there's a chance that maybe it's just too cold.
Well, are you outside now?
Yeah, I mean, I can only do it outside. So
you're sitting in 20-degree weather right now?
Yes, I am. That's a dedicated roaster. Hold on, look. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's all snow.
I got my feet wet in the roastery, and I was out in the wet mill, and I was like, man, I'm ready to go inside. I don't know. I think it's 65 outside now.
Brian, where are you at?
I'm in North Alabama.
Oh, no.
It's been cold here. We got an ice storm. We've been iced in all week, pretty much. So.
Well, I'm originally from Tennessee. I got married and moved to Kansas probably when I was 35 or so. Stayed there for a couple of years, then went back to Tennessee for 2 years, and then moved to Honduras for the last 8 years. and then for about 6 years. And the last 2 years, I've been between Honduras and Kansas. And so that's where my roastery is in Kansas. But I've been to Alabama a few times. I used to go up to Huntsville about once a year.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There's a place there called Faru Prosthetics. I used to go up there about once a year. Go up there and stay for a day or two, and they make my prosthetic legs there.
Okay. Huh.
Everybody there that works there is an amputee, and so I like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's worth the trip if you need a prosthetic. Now,
That's too loud. Do I need to mute it?
Brian, do you sell at the farmer's market, or do you do?
Not right now. That's kind of I'm at the stage now where I'm debating doing that. I kind of go back and forth every now and then. I think I'm going to start selling, and then you read people online that say, don't do that, it'll ruin your hobby, and so I start second guessing.
Well, have you looked into?
I've got a full-time job, so I would, it'd be a side gig.
Well, have you looked into cottage law and all that?
I have, yeah. I haven't done the course yet, but I know everything that I would need to do for the cottage laws in Alabama and all the. I've kind of looked into that, and I kind of, I was trying to figure out, if I wanted to try and use one of those point of sale systems and website and all that kind of stuff, and that was the last thing I was researching was Square, Shopify, all that kind of stuff.
You could ask my wife about all that. I started out with Weebly on my website. I think we run it through Google, but then I'm pretty sure we use Shopify for something. But Julia could tell you more about that. I have. You can get just a basic Square reader, that works off the Wi-Fi on your phone or the Bluetooth on your phone. I think it is. And so, I did some stuff up in Chicago. I went to a thing called Coffee Con and spoke there, and they let us bring our coffee there and sell it. And my son Eli ran the store while I was giving my talks or whatever. And so 12 years old, he learned real quick how to use the Square, and wasn't very complicated. So there are a lot of the things, you can go big, but right now with everything we do, we still use just a little small Square thing. You can tap it. Okay. You can stick it in your back pocket, just like this little tiny Square thing. But then you shove the card in there, or it's got another attachment that plugs into the speaker attachment of your cell phone, and you could swipe the card. So it's not super complicated getting all that. Now it gets a little more complicated when you start hooking your website directly into Shopify. But Julia had a day or two of pain in the butt calls with people and all, and I don't think we've done that. It's all, once it got all set up, then it's fine. We get a Square report once a week, showing how much they're depositing and all that. But it's just a debit card world now, so you sort of got to have them. I give hefty discounts for cash, for the people that walk in the store.
Right.
We're just now, I literally, there was we live in a house that my wife's family built in 1900. And so we built a attached garage 2 years ago. So nobody was using the detached garage. So during COVID, we had to make the decision where we were going to stay in Honduras or go home, because we're all going to die. We're either going to die here or die in the States. And so we decided to go die in the States. And so when I was there was nothing for me to do. I work on a coffee farm. And so my roaster was sitting in a shed, which was a 70-year-old detached garage. So it'd been sitting there for about 6 months. So we went back to Honduras for harvest. And then right after harvest is when COVID started hitting. And so when we went back to Kansas, the roaster was, and so we had, I had lots of time on my hand. And so I called Lowe's, and the health department had already been out and told me what I would need to do to get the building up to code. And so I called Lowe's, and, back then everybody went out with gloves and masks, and they just threw the lumber on your trailer. And so I just started, fixing up the building. And we put about $6,000 into the building. So it's basically a 70-year-old concrete garage, and had two, I guess they were like 7-foot or 8-foot, entrances. It was a 2-car garage. And so we fixed that up, and you can't get any cheaper than that, but we're off the beaten path. You have to be wanting to go to us to be driving by. And so most of our sales were online and still are online, but we're getting now to where there's probably 15 people walking through the door every week. But
Oh, wow.
I'm in a small town, and it's sort of a shop local kind of deal. And so I probably get about 5 of those that pay cash, and so I'd basically just hide the money from my wife so I can buy stuff, shiny stuff, so that's why I like the cash side of it. Not trying to hide it from the government, just don't want Julia to know what all I buy, in case, need a new Glock or something like that, It's a lot less helpful if you just go ahead and buy it. But no, she's never said anything about my gun addiction, so or my coffee addiction, because all the little brew methods you see behind me, if you go into the cupping lab, I've got exactly what I got in here out there. And then when you go to the cup roastery in Kansas, I've got it all again in Kansas. And then when you go in the house, I've got a lot of it or some of it in the house. So I've got a lot of different little brew methods. I enjoy brew methods and my little coffee cups. That's my Sunday thing. Sunday, I'll usually do church sort of out in the farm, especially when I'm here by myself. I'll get up early, get me a pot of coffee, a thermos of coffee, and I'll either walk or get on the 4-wheeler and drive out in the farm and just sort of hang out. I'll download a Levi Lusko or something if I want to listen to a sermon or listen to church. Otherwise, I spend an hour or two out there, just solitude, because we're in a government preserve. So there's deer, there's all kinds of animals and stuff out there. There's a puma out there. We've got a couple boa constrictors. There's a lot of crazy animals out there. But just go out there, and that's how it's Sunday. Then I'll come in, change clothes, and I'll go to town. And they have just these great open markets in Honduras. And so Saturday and Sunday, Saturday's payday. So a lot of people will go and do their shopping Saturday afternoon. But then Sunday, it's just nonstop markets. And so I'll just find a good place to park my car, and then I just get out and walk. Marcala is like one of the bigger, Copan and Marcala are probably the 2 biggest coffee producing areas in Honduras. And so there's bunches of coffee shops in Marcala. So I'll go out, and every once in a while I'll see a coffee shop I've never seen before. So I'll go in, get me a cup of coffee. But I love just walking the malls, because like the first Sunday I was here, I found these. They're the thickest cups. Found these little, I guess they're red. I found they only had 4 of them, so I bought 4. And then last Sunday I went out and I found these, which I wish the light wasn't glaring on it so much. But these are little black cups, but they only had 3 of them. One of them had a crack in it. I don't think you can see the crack. So they gave me a discount on that. They knocked off 25 cents. But I like to shoot for $1. So these were $1.15 each. And these were like $1.35 each. And so she knocked a quarter off the 1 cup. I enjoy going out and getting them. Usually I buy 4 and I'll give customer, and I'll keep 2, just so it's not a crazy whole lot of coffee cups. The best ones are ones that people give you. I've got a couple that people have given me over the years, but I just enjoy getting out, and that's where I go and buy. You can buy anything you want. Cell phones. I mean, there's everything in the market, but belts, machetes. If we've got North Americans coming to the farm, I'll stock up on machetes. And then they can, when you stay in the apartment, there's 3 or 4 machetes in the apartment, and they'll all have the price of what I paid for them still on there. And if
You leave the blood dry? Is the blood dry on the machete?
do what now?
Did you leave some blood drying on the machetes?
Just on that one, but rest of them, I try to get rid of any DNA evidence. No, so far it hadn't come to that. 2 years ago, we did have 2 guys that killed each other just up on top of the hill. They were drunk and got into a fight. Both of them struck fatal blows and bled out before the ambulance could get there. But they were sort of inebriated and had a bad history with each other. So that's the weapon of choice here is a machete. And boy, you want to talk about sharp. They stop 4 to 5 times a day and sharpen those things. Man, I send mine home with Santos and let Santos sharpen it. He just enjoys just sitting there, and he's just like slowly running that thing. And they're really sharp. That's the biggest accident we have in the farm is they get low, and because they're trying to run that machete flat on the ground, and it'll get away from them every once in a while. And when it does, it comes back and slaps them in the ankle.
Ooh.
And so getting stitches, that's the biggest thing. And then we'll have to go in. We've got stretchers that we know how to make stretchers real quick. I took a first aid course. We take a couple coffee bags, and so wherever they're at, there's some kind of bag somewhere. And so somebody will run out and get 2 solid sticks, like cut down a little tree or something. You run them through the sides of those coffee bags, and you got yourself a little gurney. And then they'll get 6 guys that'll start getting them out of the field. And they take shifts, 2 guys, one on the front, one on the back, and they run as hard as they can. The other 4 guys follow. And when the first 2 guys get tired, they swap up. And so they keep it going at full speed. Hey, buddy. And so they get up here to the house as quick as they can. And by then, somebody's got in contact with me. And I've got my first aid kit up on top of the hill. And if you need to put a tourniquet on, a lot of times I'll just go ahead and put a quickie tourniquet on, just because a lot of times it looks worse than what it is. But if it's not too bad, I've got the bloodless bandages. I've got some that the blood actually activates the adhesive. And so I can just put a patch on it. And then I've got those super glue kits where you can push it together and super glue them together. And you won't need stitches. If it's just 2 or 3 stitches, you can put that on there. Otherwise, we get them to the doctor, and it's like $12 to get your leg stitched up. And then we pay them for 2 weeks, and they stay home for 2 weeks. And then they're back at work again. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you're in my ear, so so she can't hear you, but she sees herself on the camera, and that's why I muted it, because otherwise you'd hear this all the time.
Can you see my flowers?
No, my screen, you're frozen on my screen. I don't know if it's on everybody's screen, but since I'm on my phone, I just assumed it's my phone. So,
Brian, are we frozen, or can you see video?
No, you're frozen up for me as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I was worried about that. They told me they came out and worked on my internet today, and apparently I have fiber optic to the house, but it's not 5G. And when they came out, no notice. I was in the States, and Anna lets them in the house, and they disconnected my Wi-Fi because my router had the 5G option on it. And then they put in their own router with the fiber optic. And so I don't know what to do. I might get Julia to just disconnect the router at the house and see if she can bring it with her tomorrow. and see if we can put a different router on here. But we're
I
just
mean,
not.
keep in mind your audio is perfect, at least on my side. So it's just the video that's frozen.
I might try.
Yeah, the audio is working fine, and the video
Yeah.
just froze recently. So
because you guys are moving around.
Yeah, so you know, I came inside and gave up on my roast. So
I'm going to get in line with the router, or the Wi-Fi is right out in this next room. I don't know if it'll make any difference or not.
yep, you're back. We got video now.
yep, you're working perfect.
Well, I can see the router. The way I built the house, I was standing behind a concrete wall, so be a little more professional anyway. I've got my stuff. Eli, I was supposed to be studying some of my Taekwondo stuff. I'm supposed to learn how to count to 20 in Korean. I haven't done that yet. So that's my task for the next 2 months with Eli. He's going to be here with me till March the 12th.
Man.
No, I have to learn to count to 100. Crap. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you only have to learn, 1 through 9, and then what every 10 is.
Yeah, no, basically that's what it is. This one goes 1 to 20, and then it goes 30, 40, 50, and like that. This same in Spanish, but then all the forms, like the first form you learn is Chungji, and so you have to learn all the forms. And I missed the test by 3 days. I flew out 3 days before the test for my purple belt. So Eli got his purple, and I didn't get a chance to get mine. So I'll get it. I'll test the first week I get back, hopefully. But I got my orange belt in arnis, which is like hand, stick, and knife fighting. So that's my second level. No, I guess you start out white. Yeah, it's just like Taekwondo. You start out white, yellow, and orange. So I've got an orange belt in that. So when I get back, hopefully I can test for my green belt. But it's a little more like jiu-jitsu. You don't rise very fast in that one. Your jiu-jitsu is like really complicated to get between belts. But so that's what we're going to try to do. I'm setting up a girls class for teenage girls next week. So we're going to start teaching them a little bit of hand-to-hand. And that little thing, I don't know if you can see it right there. We were out one Sunday, and stuff hanging off a tree. He was selling them on the side of the road, so we stopped and bought some of those. And I just had the best luck buying chicken on the side of the road and just all kinds of stuff. But no, I haven't cleaned house in a couple of days. So tonight my task is to clean house before I leave here at 8 in the morning to pick Julia up at 1. So I've got to do a bunch of shopping and all kinds of stuff. And I've got my list I'm working on for hamburger meat, chicken breast, good cheese,
Do you pick her up in the same town you do your shopping in?
It's the best store is in a place called Comayagua, which is right near the airport. So I rent a little space beside of a house in Comayagua, and I park my little Toyota there, my 4Runner, and then I'll take a taxi to the airport.
Okay.
And so I've got a place. So when I come in, that's sort of my usual process. I grab a taxi, go to my car, and then I drive over to the grocery store, and I do my shopping, get all the stuff that you can't find here in the small town. Like actual craft cheese and stuff like that. But so tomorrow.
Bye, Brian. No, I'm just joking. I said, well, bye, Brian. He jumped off. I was like, never mind. I'll just take your head.
He got bored. No, maybe he'll come back on. But no, I'll go. The plant. I've got to hit the construction store, which they also sell twin sheets. So I got to pick up a couple pillows, and we've lived on bare minimum for years, and so here lately I've been trying to do a few little extra things for the house, and so just upgrade, just buying a few little extras.
Sure.
So, but pick up some sheets and some pillows and I forgot what else on my list. And then I'll head over to the grocery store, 10 pounds of hamburger meat and a bunch of chicken breasts and stuff like that, you know. Tomato soup, you can't, I mean, tomato soup's like $2.50 a can. So that's one of my favorite meals is tomato soup and grilled cheese. So
Amen, brother.
I'm going to buy 2 cans of tomato soup and then a couple packets of, those 8-ounce bars of Kraft cheese. And
Yeah.
I got probably 30 different things on the list. But it's a nice grocery store, and I can use my debit card or my credit card there. And so I'll get all that. And I've got ice. I've got those gel packs that you freeze in the freezer.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got a bunch of bottles of frozen water. And I'll throw all that into a cooler. And then it'll be fine. I'll do my shopping, and I'll go sit at the airport for it'll probably an hour, hour and a half, just depends. And then I get back, I got to start hauling people as soon as I get back.
Yeah.
So, but it's all,
Well,
it's like in the States when you land, you're in your car pretty quick. Here, it could take an hour, hour and a half to get through customs, immigration, and go through inspection because they want to tax whatever they can find. So,
sure.
So we got to get all that figured out. Well, my goal is to get in bed by midnight. I don't hesitate if you've got some questions to holler at me. I can see if I can look up on my Amazon account of where I bought my pressure gauge. And I think I bought my pressure regulators off of Amazon too.
I would imagine I'm probably going to have better success when it's not 20 degrees outside and some wind and everything. Because I put up like a little shroud, tried to block wind, and it wasn't doing a great job of it. And so I've got a little bit of tweaking that I got to do on there. But maybe I'll have to put the contraption like inside the garage to block the wind or something. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see on it, but I just feel I'm like going, wow, I was on live stream here failing at coffee roasting right in front of everybody. It's great.
No, have you looked to see if there's a Facebook page for that brand of roaster?
No, there's not. It's so like very little talked about. Like I couldn't find any reviews except for the one person that I know that has it. And they're in somebody's got that one and somebody's got the one below it. Like this one is supposedly rated up to an 8.8 pound on there that you could do in it. So I figure 5 is a good median at the most. So,
Yeah.
But there's one down right below it that's a 3.3 is the next size down. And those are I only know 2 people, one that owns each one of those. And he said last night's success slash trials that I did sounded just like the first time he used his, where it ran just a little bit too long because he was trying to figure out how to work the heat on it properly. And so I figured, since I got that figured out last night and it came up, I think I ended up turning it off when it hit first crack. It was like at 408 degrees or something like that is what it hit on the thermometer when the first crack started. As soon as the first crack started rolling, I shut everything off, shut all the gas and everything off and just let it go. And then I pulled it, about 30, 40 seconds in, and it's great. It's an even roast, 14.7 moisture release or loss on it. I mean, it's perfect. I just couldn't get it to do it tonight, and I'm like, I didn't change anything on the machine, so I don't know what in the world's going on with it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I was in the States. I'd send you a box and stuff I have. Is a lot of it might work for you, but no, I think when the days get warmer, it might be, a little bit easier because you got a 60, 70 degree, from where you should be to where you are as far as your ambient temperature.
Yeah,
that you're having to overcome, I guess.
Yeah, and that's where and I mean tonight I was getting a whole lot more breeze. Like the flames were definitely dancing a little bit more tonight than they were last night. So I got a feeling I just got a whole lot of factors working against me tonight. I got a little anxious and was trying it out and it didn't work out too well. Which makes me upset because what I did do, figuring I had it figured out, I think I just did my last 2 pounds of Samantha Sweetness, the Santiago stuff. So I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted to ruin. But
Yeah,
all good things come to an end.
I hate messing up a roast. That's for sure. And I've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah. I just could not get it to go anywhere. I checked it again right before I shut it off and came inside, and it was still green, barely not green. It wasn't even in the yellow stage yet. It was just still green. And I couldn't figure out what. And I mean, I had smoke coming out of it there for a minute. And I figured I was cooking right along, and nope, surely wasn't. So,
Well, did you stop it or is it still going?
No, I stopped it. I couldn't get it to go up anymore. The temperature wasn't getting up over like 250 degrees ever on there. So I got to do some more figuring around on it. I figured it was like, well, why sit out here and suffer in 20-degree weather? I'll just come inside and play with the kiddo and put her to bed and just call it a night. So
yeah,
gotta let it cool down so I can bring it inside because I don't want it to corrode either since it is moisture wise outside. Yeah, written outside, but at least let it cool down.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people would stick it back in and roast it again. I sure would.
Well, as soon as I dump it, I'm going to take a look at it and see. It very well could be very roastable still. So
I think I'd get to the pound and try it again.
Yeah. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say goodnight and go and help put the kid to bed. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump in the shower real quick, and then I got to call Eli and them, make sure they're all packed and got their paperwork ready to travel tomorrow. And hopefully they'll get here at 1 o'clock, and we'll start rolling, man.
All right, man. Well, hey, have a good one. Say hi to the family for me, and we'll talk again. Okay.
All right. Thanks, man. We'll see you soon.
Okay. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to wrap it up, folks. Sorry we got off track a little bit, but not too bad. I hope it was fairly interesting. We're trying to help Bill any way we can to get his roaster figured out. He is up and coming. He's over in Missouri. I think it's Mobley, Missouri. But my family's coming in tomorrow from Kansas, God willing, and snow doesn't hit again. So they should be here about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then Eli and I will be doing a podcast on Saturday. So you guys stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks everybody that's online. And we will talk to you soon.